Maybe not that far back. Yeah, that's still good.
Have you heard any rumbling that are we live now?
Yeah, we live on 260 home.
Any rumbling that Miss Jackie is going to go try to be counselor?
No, she said she don't want that. We talked about. I talked about tonight. She's like, come on. She said, because she can't get no work now. She said, you just really can't,
Went over like she wants to.
Yeah, But I do think we got to pick somebody up there that's going to be fair.
Yeah.
I can't do no more Negroes. I can't afford it. That's jacked up. Can't afford no more Negroes. Not today. None of that. So hold on. Okay, it's already up there. Okay, that looks good.
When you put this, yeah, okay.
I got it already set up.
Because last time
I be forgetting. Yeah. I see you look like, well, I said, oh, damn, it's up there. Okay, hold on. And then I gotta.
We can make sure that that's not over my face because last time
I got you was. That's why you see me mess with that camera. I gotta make it go a little higher. That's what you see me doing with all these little adjusting and stuff. But look at it. Let's see. Okay, that's perfect. All right. So you ready?
Yes, yes.
All right, let me just. Oh, here we go. Oh, let me make sure it's okay. Yep, it's in there. So I think there's two things at this wheel. Okay, so just right here. And
we'll just we'll start with the David.
Okay, we go all over the place. Yeah. All right, we live, Barry.
Okay, yeah.
Live from Sacramento. It's
just being honest. Connecting with the Black experience.
Right on.
Dees family, Barry Axius again with you, and of course with the spectacular queendom in the flesh, Mama Ro, and you, girl. Like the street continues. Can you please pass that fan for me?
Yes. Okay.
So,
your fan, Barry.
I'm just saying, the fan, the weather.
Yeah. Ooh, Lord, we need the fan for real though. There ain't no understanding.
That I don't even think that would work out here. But I think you give the people what they want, right? Everybody was asking about the weather and why the weather was so bad and it's been raining, what's going on. So now you're gonna get what you get. And what you get from Sacramento is some vicious summertime heat.
Whew.
Very much so.
It was hot this morning. It was like 8 o'clock and it was already starting to be hot. I was like, this is getting on ridiculous level. This is ridiculous.
But I like that, when it gets like that, because I like being able to step into like a warm, environment, especially like I was doing some late night driving last night and just driving through the city. I was just getting my thoughts together. Sometimes I do that. And I was driving and it just felt so good. I had my little, sunroof open and everything like that. Felt like I was a superstar in these cold, quiet streets of Sacramento. Ain't nothing going on, which they should be. Me and my daughter, we was in Walnut Creek just the other day, and we was watching the Warriors game with my daughter's godfather and my brother, in Oakland. But he came from Oakland to Walnut Creek, and we was at the Walnut Creek downtown area, and it was still kind of live. It still had stuff open till 11, 10, and I'm looking like Sacramento needs to do the same thing. And me and my daughter was like, yo, every time the summer comes, there should be certain stores that are open past a certain time. Stores should be open at least by till 10 because it's warm. Folks is just now getting out because it's so hot, right? It's so hot in the summertime in a lot of different places. So you don't really want to go out and do the shopping. Could you imagine if there were stores open maybe till 11 or 10, open up later and stay open later? I wouldn't mind the store opening at 11 or 12 because who wants to really be in that heat at that particular time?
Ooh, not me.
So I was like, yo, they should be doing something a little bit different, but people are who they are, right?
Right on.
So how are you?
I'm great. I mean, this is one of those weeks where starting the weekend, and it's just a lot of stuff going on, but a lot of amazing good stuff going on as well. And so,
how many graduations have you been to so far?
Oh God, 3. I still have like maybe 3 more to go. I don't know if I'm gonna make them all, though. I'm not gonna lie, because it's just a lot. It is hot. Y'all gotta stop having graduations outside, fam. In Sacramento, that's no Sonoga. I don't care if it is 6 o'clock at night. It's still like 100 degrees. Like that's not gonna go.
Exactly.
You know.
So you've gone. So when you don't go to a child's graduation, I feel bad. Do you feel bad?
Yeah. But I always try to like give them a card or a gift or
Okay.
hey, I got something for you, because it's just a lot. It's a lot. But I'm so excited to see the families. I love graduations, but I'm also one of those people who observe things.
Okay.
I observe things all the time. It never cuts off for me. And I don't know about some of y'all, but good morning, Brother Keon, Sister Renita. I always check out the groups and how we're doing, how we're faring. And I don't know. I don't know if it's black folks are snoring. I don't know if black folks is in a deep sleep, if they're all in the sunken place.
Yeah.
But I see us do the most. But when you look at who got the salutatorian, valedictorian, speaking, I'm not seeing a lot of black kids up there. And another telling thing was when they announced one school, there was announcing where the kid was going next or where the young person was going next. A lot of the black kids was going to junior colleges, but the few Africans were going to a university. And everybody else was kind of going to universities.
Wow.
And I said, y'all don't tell me y'all don't see that. We can't be celebrating our kids when we know they ain't really put in the work. I feel really conflicted because I think that's false sense of achievement, which is why we're so stagnant sometimes. We be celebrating shit when it's not a win.
You know what's so funny?
Help me with that.
One of my friends
I love everybody.
No, I know that. One of my friends was basically saying the same kind of thing. She's like, well, why are we making it such a big deal about graduating high school? That's something that they say that's something that you're doing for yourself. And I had to kind of listen to that for a little bit because, I was conflicted as well because after a while, you don't want to go to certain graduations for certain young kids because, you always have kids that you rock with a lot more than other kids, but they're all special to us, right? They're all your family, but you don't want to go to the certain kids and some kids know, oh yeah, he always with her, he's always with him, and not neglect the other kids who need that kind of support as well. But I found out to be the crazy piece is when she said that whole we're celebrating these accomplishments, something that they should have done and want to do for themselves. What you're saying is almost kind of like the same thing. We get overzealous about celebrating things that are supposed to happen to the point where we lose sight of the bigger goal. She said, now if they graduate college, for sure. That's a bigger situation that has a lot more maintenance to it because guess what? No longer is college free for most of these youngsters. It doesn't matter if they're paying for it or their parents are paying for it or someone. There is no longer that free ride. So college, you have to put a lot more work, and that also opens up that independence. So to me, that is a bigger celebration. But then I also look at it, high school is a hell of an accomplishment because of all the things you have to go through in transitioning for 4 years. 4 years of trying to figure out who am I, right? 4 years of navigating from being collegiate to being a popular person to dealing with a kind of subculture that schools have, representing your school with pride as well as finding yourself as a younger child, and then some are graduating as adults at 18. And the whole 18 years old thing is crazy to me because them Negroes ain't adults. They just older young kids, right?
Right.
But the failure piece for me with school.
Okay.
One, you're graduating too many of these Negroes and letting them get this false sense of reality like they really did something.
I think that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying we shouldn't celebrate them and accomplishments. I get it. But I think we overdo it. When you sit up there, this is what I try to look at when I'm going to these graduations, family. What I look at is I look at all the other groups in the room. Okay. I look at who's the salutatorian, the valedictorian. I look at who they picked to do a speech for the class. I look at when they say where the kid is going. I look at on the program that has the stars, the X's, the whatever, which means all the stuff that they have acquired. And then we get up there and we do all of this dancing and I made it. And it's almost like, but what did you really, this, it ain't that deep. Like this cannot be your only moment to shine. I've been watching The Shy.
Okay.
And there's an episode in The Shy with this dude. He's kind of like a gangster, but he makes his stuff look legit. I can't remember his name. And so the one dude, he was basically saying, when I got fired, I was trying to buy a truck, and then I got fired. He said, I had to buy a Mercedes. He said every time he talked about when somebody was pushing him down, he would come back and do something like buy a house. Like he would just do something bigger than he thought he could do instead of selling for, the crumbs or whatever. Okay. I feel like sometimes that's a mentality that we have because we'll be talking about how hard the system is, but then it feel like we don't really push our children to take advantage of all the opportunities. We'll be celebrating you graduating with all D's. We'll be celebrating you graduating with a bunch of behavior issues in your jacket.
No standards.
Yeah, the expectations are too low for Black children. Wow. But I also watch the Africans from the continent because I work with all of them. I have a lot of their girls in my program. And sometimes they'll be sitting in the cut looking like I'm looking because sometimes they don't understand all the stuff that our kids are tripping on. When they know in their family, they know they got to go to a UC. That JC ain't no option for them. Their parents didn't bring them to America to go to no goddamn JC.
Not at all.
Let's just be honest. Nothing wrong with a JC. Start where you can. I'm not dissing that. But I just think sometimes this is this hard conversations with Black folks because, again, we're talking about accountability. And young people have to be accountable, too. I'm sorry. I just don't know how because I work on a lot of the campuses, the expectations I feel of the principals are low when it comes to Black kids. I feel like the parents, some of the parents, their expectations are low. You hear parents saying, you have an opportunity for a child, they got the audacity to say, let me ask them if they want to do it. When I was growing up, my mom was like, Londa gonna do that. When she needs to be ready, I'm gonna have her arm ready to go on the front porch or on the stoop.
Ready to go.
Right. So I don't understand parents like, I don't know if he wants to do it. And then we'll complain about our kids not having opportunities or nobody's looking out for them. But sometimes you are the hindrance, parent. Sometimes it's you, parent, that limits your children and you celebrate. It's like celebrating somebody from getting out of jail. They like, that shit wasn't a beautiful place.
And we do.
That wasn't shit.
But we do celebrate Pookie when he comes out of jail. You ready? All right. You need this.
Because I don't understand it. I really be trying to understand it.
So it's almost kind of like.
Hey, Jacob, go ahead. Sorry.
And I don't want to segue into the one of the topics that we're going to get to because I think that the celebration thereof bad behavior, the celebration of bad grades, the celebration of just barely making it, and almost celebrating as if the young person really put their all into finally getting this 4 years done. The reality is the school has a number count that they got to go with.
You better tell it.
Right? They have to go ahead and sit there and say, we've graduated this many people. So the funds can keep coming. Right. And then they can also expound on their commercialism of their school. Well, in 1984, we graduated 16%, but in 1990, we graduated 84%.
All right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So
right now,
you're saying now that our standards have gotten worse because we know for sure with all the stuff that's happening with our kids, these kids are not paying as much attention as they used to. There's too many distractions. So you're basically telling me now that you're allowing Pookie to walk the stage when 2 weeks ago you're telling me that Pookie was on the verge of not graduating. And I know for damn sure Pookie ain't did not a damn thing to graduate. Right? He didn't pick up a book. He didn't go to extra after school classes. So I think that when we are talking about standards for Black people, we pick and choose and are hypocrites on what we call what we go there. Just to be honest, let's talk about it because we will celebrate the ignorance of it, but chastise other things, and we do that so often. And before I talk about the great David Banner show, because this kind of segues into this other one, because we're going to definitely talk about David Banner. If y'all missed the message for the Black community, I'm asking y'all, where was y'all at?
Right on.
Don't just say y'all was at Pride. Where was y'all at? We're going to talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you got to say this. How in the hell, if you and I are talking about celebrating and uplifting, and I understand for the young person's self-esteem, we want to lift it up, and someone failing or someone not graduating it screws with their head watching their 400, 300 some friends graduate, having the whole celebration of them. That's their moment in the sun. But if it wasn't earned, I don't believe you should get that moment. Regardless, it's almost like you tell your child to go do something and they don't do it, and you still reward them with the one thing that they want.
Barry, better shut your mouth up.
Listen, I'm going to be honest.
Please.
Now, Sandra Dees. Shit.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Tell me.
So Sandra Dees.
All right.
Now it's closing after what, 30 to 20 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of Black folks, as I put up a post, because I remember last year that when she was on
Chef Ramsay
and Chef
Hell's
Ramsay
Kitchen or whatever it was.
ripped her a new one.
Why would you go on Hell's Kitchen? But go ahead.
I don't know.
I get you.
Maybe she felt that Sacramento really loved her, and then she found out how Sacramento really felt about her, right? Now they opened up a whole new idea of what Sandra Dees was on the inside to the outside. And it's almost like any other reality kind of based show. You're going to see some truths. You're going to see some watered down stuff, and you're going to see some stuff that they just created themselves. But a lot of people saw a lot of the truth about Sandra Dees. Some of the secrets of some of the food that they created wasn't as from scratch as they thought.
Okay.
But Black people was hitting them hard for the Ramsay, the Chef Ramsay piece, and turned around and gave it a little bit of the black eye. Now, this past week, she said that she's closing her doors. I hear, I'm not too sure, but I hear she sold it for $1 million, so she's going to be okay. And I want to say she sold it to Asian folks.
And you got here talking about some support Black businesses, Barry?
Let me go there.
Okay.
So now, when we talk about the hypocrites of Black people, here we are celebrating negativity, and we know damn well Pookie shouldn't have graduated, but we're celebrating his graduation. Knowing damn well he just threw water at the teacher just a week before, you know what I'm saying, graduation was. And they had told him, hey, by the way, if you do anything on this contract, you know, you're going to be held back. And they really thought about it and said, you know what, our numbers are getting low for Black graduates. Let's make sure that we graduate this little Negro. How can you celebrate that and then bash and almost celebrate the closing of Sandra Dees? And I know Johnny Public is going to sit there and break it down and say that Sandra Dees was this, that, and the other. But the thing that I don't understand with folks, especially our Black people, we continue to patronize places that have no respect for us, are disgusting, don't care about how they service us. And every community that's based with Black people, if it's a community that's formerly surrounded by Black people, have what they call is food deserts. That means Taco Bell, Burger King, McDonald's, Del Taco, KFC, you name it, they got it. So how is Black people criticizing and chastising a woman that created Black economics, gave a foundation for Black people to come over and actually migrate, have a place to go? Whether the food wasn't great, and of course, I know the food kind of went on a downward spiral because she wasn't as hands-on as she was, but reality is, it's hard to hire a lot of Black folk because Black folk like to do whatever they want to do.
When they want to do it.
And when they want to do it, how are we moving us forward if in one term we're celebrating bad behavior, in another term, something that we say is bad, we're chastising it. But the reality is what we're chastising is a foundation that empowers Black people. Now we don't have a Black soul food restaurant. So now what are we going to do?
Well, you're going to open up one. That's first. That's the first thing we're going to do.
Yes.
I think the second thing, Barry, is, and I totally agree with you. Hold on just a minute. Hold on, because this thing is
okay. Go ahead.
Inside, so hold on. So let me just say this. Maybe I thought that was in. Okay, great. Let me just say this, Barry. So you make a lot of good points. I so wish the Black nation was like other nations, where we can just have a meeting and say, hey, all, Sister Sandra Dees is going to be closing the restaurants. And we need someone to buy that up so we can keep the Black economic machine going.
Let's roll it.
But, we ain't got it like that, Barry. We just don't have it like that as a people. I think it's a twofold. I think we do have Black folks who we like to celebrate the ratchet. We give a lot of support to the ratchet as a people. I heard Felicia Rashad said, we live in the era of celebrating the ratchet. And at first I was like, But the more I thought about it, we do celebrate the ratchet.
Yes.
Like they'll rather see a show where Sandra Dees is getting torn down by Chef Ramsay than to see a show where Black chefs get to show us how good they cook and, that whole thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes I think Sandra Dee got caught up in that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because she should have never, ever won on that show.
No.
I'm just going to be, and I've gone there a few times myself, and the food was okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you'd be so hungry for soul food, you'd be like, okay, at least I support the business and I'm out.
Yes.
But I also think it's a flip side. Black folks are responsible, I guess, maybe for not patronizing whatever. The other flip side to it, she could have reached out to Barry Axios and others and say, hey, I want to sell my business. If she really loved Black people as much as she claimed that they should have loved her. It's a twofold. It's a twofold. Because $1 million, that's great, but I bet you they'll wipe every stench of her off that building and we'll never know she was there. Because that's what people do when they take over Black things.
Wow.
You never know the Panthers existed in East Oakland.
Never.
You'll never know that. You'll never know that there used to be a Muslim mosque in Harlem in a certain place. So they wipes it clean. And so it's a twofold. It's our responsibility to each other. Each other. I also think, Barry, that a lot of Black people don't even understand soul food. We think
they got their own soul. Huh?
Yeah, we think a cup of macaroni and cheese is soul food. That's not the macaroni and cheese that we know as soul food.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? It's like going to Taco Bell as opposed to going to the little taco truck. There's a difference. There's a real difference. And so I think I'm sorry that she's closing because I don't like to see anybody close their business. But I just wish she would have. I think it's a lesson to all of us. When you get too old, don't close it down. Think about how you could pass it on to the next generation. I don't think she had leadership that she could have did that. According to the Chef Ramsay show, I don't know her like that. Yeah. But from what I see, I don't know if she was grooming people to take her business over. Well, the other people wait and be like, I'll send you off to college. You got this. You got that. You got to run this.
I heard folks were talking about her daughter, and they was like, she was just the worst. That's what I heard, folks.
Look, Kellogg's, Mr. Kellogg's, when he died, he left his family some money, but he did not leave them all of his money. He left his money in a trust and an endowment, and that's what funds a lot of programs. He didn't leave his kids the money to run the organization. He really didn't. And so that speaks to something. He's still around. Kellogg Foundation is humongous. Yeah. In Deer Creek, Michigan, that's where it is. But I'm just saying, sometimes we gotta or why she didn't groom somebody to say, hey, you can run this, I'll be in the background, blah, blah, blah. We gotta learn how to let go of shit. Yeah. We ain't good at Black leadership, especially ain't good at letting go of shit. They be in the grave like, I'm still your leader. And they got bronchitis and half dead and all kind of other shit. So I think it's a twofold. I think there's some lessons in there for Sandra Dee and for us. Because what does Black support really look like?
What does it really look like? Well, I mean, I'm trying to figure that out.
Most of us don't even know we're Black.
No, I mean, most of us want to run from that. There's a few things that the points you made were right on time. My argument was to folks when I sat there and I put up my post, and the folks, 100 and plus some folks had to chime in.
They be on your stuff.
Oh, yeah, no, that's why some niggas try to get fame off of getting on my post because they have no traction on theirs. But that is what it is. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this. Sandra Dees, right? I am not going to say it was an excellent restaurant, but I am going to say when I first moved to Sacramento in 2000 that it was pretty damn good.
Okay.
I saw the change, but I also saw the change from workers. You had more of a Latino base compared to more African American base. Now, I don't know from the time frame that happened if or what conspired for them to transfer from Black chefs, Black cooks to more Latino, but the reality, it happened. And in the reality, there's more Latinos cooking all of the food in the finest dining restaurants to the slums of the restaurants. Let's be very clear. I think the place where they probably don't be the most at is Asian spots, but the Asians have them as well. The Middle Easterns have them. So
stuff like that,
well, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't even think they have them served. They have them in the back, but they don't have them as many, right?
Yeah, they don't have them cooking their food though, because it's authentic.
I beg to differ. I do believe I've seen a lot of them prepping. Yes, Asian restaurants for sure. Yes. But they're not doing it in a way that they were doing it for Sandra Dees, right? Like for instance, I just went to a Middle Eastern restaurant and there was a white cook there, right? But they were on cutting up onions. You know what I'm saying? Where the mother and the father, because I talked to the folks, and there's a family-owned restaurant, they were doing the bulk of the cooking, right? So we're prepping, which is good. Now, my case in point was always to say, if we're celebrating a Black business being sold, being closed down because of lack thereof, us being Johnny come lately, now critiquing what is considered good food when half your niggles don't cook. Half your niggles, and when half your niggles do cook, you're not cooking fresh. And this is not talking to everybody, but we know a majority because of lifestyles we live. I'm certified, right, in a realm of cooking. And I can name how many times I get to really make my own meals. I can probably say maybe, depending on how the week goes, maybe 3 days out the week, if that. But usually, barring, it's twice a week, and sometimes it's one. Or I might just be eating out because of the type of lifestyle that we live, right? We are so busy and we're constantly going. The most you're getting is some cereal, oatmeal, maybe make an egg sandwich, throw some fruit in your mouth because it's easy to take and go. But we're not there spending time breaking down, cutting the vegetables, marinating the meat, or just having a whole veggie dish ready for you to go. Because by the time you come home, you're just wiped out. You don't want to cook. You want to just find somebody else to cook for you. You ain't got to go do the dishes because there's a lot going with the cooking. So that's another thing. As I pointed before, if there were so many great options in the Black community, and there were so many people that really took it seriously about service and good quality food, then there wouldn't be that many food deserts in Black communities. I mean, we are bombarded by the fast food industry, especially in the Black community. So when folks were to sit there and tell me about, oh, well, this is nasty, that's nasty, it's like, well, I don't see what you're talking about if you're still talking about eating McDonald's and Taco Bell. And then when we talk about service, are you really telling me going to a restaurant where people don't speak your language, they're not speaking to you even in the language that you speak, because they may know a little bit, but they're more comfortable with speaking their language, that you're getting the best service when it's kind of like what you order, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like compound fried rice or chicken. I got to talk about what? So you're telling me that that's excellent service, right? When you're really having an argument about ordering your food because there's a language barrier, and then at the same particular time, when you go to a lot of these so-called restaurants, they're not even good, and they have fake food like Red Lobster, because the nigga love Red Lobster. Nigga was eating the craziest stuff in Red Lobster that they think is seafood, and ain't really seafood. That's so my thing is, we are complaining and we're arguing and we're celebrating the fact that one Sandra Dees was nasty, it should have did this, should have did that, but we're still patronizing all these other restaurants that have language barriers, that are not up to code, that are bad for our health, bad for our diet, and we're still going there. I think we're hypocritical when we're sitting here trying to keep Sandra Dees to the highest form, especially when most you niggas don't even eat soul food or even know how to make soul food.
That's true. That's true. That's true. So Daryl Robertson, he was there last night. He's there, and he said that he had a great meal, and he's sorry to see her go. Their sister, Conscious Queen, said her mother's friend is open at the restaurant. It's called Louisiana Heaven.
We heard about that.
Where is it at?
I think it's over here on Valley High. Yeah, in Valley High.
Okay, can you get the address and share that? That just would be nice to know. It's a Black business, we should be supporting it. But I get what you're saying, Barry. I definitely get what you're saying. You always get a lot of response in your posts.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of the times folks want to come on my post to outwit me or to try to create, and I was appreciative of one of the queens who said, well, Barry's not saying all y'all don't know how to do A, B, and C. He's saying that we are really celebrating a Black restaurant being closed in Sacramento, and we don't have the luxury to be celebrating something being closed, and now all the options that we have are Asian, Mexican, and when I say Asian, I'm talking about Thais, Filipino, all of Asian Vietnamese. We're just talking about Asian, and when we have, and because Nichols love seafood, but where we're going to go to eat seafood is at Boiling Crab or Red Lobster,
which is them.
We want to have sushi. They have the Market Corner. So then where are we eating? So now when I do my restaurant, I know what I'm going to have to deal with. Because if I take a vacation and the oxtails don't taste like the oxtails next week, Nichols is going to chastise me. Nichols is going to burn me down. Nichols is acting like Sandra Dees has never been good. Like she's just been trashed forever. They're not looking at the significance that Sandra Dees was a Black location, a Black restaurant that you could go in and feel comfortable that it was a Black-owned establishment. Didn't feel like you were getting rushed. And you're talking about service. I can't remember how much good service I got at Red Lobster. Matter of fact, I was just at BJ's, and I had to literally go ahead and tell the server that I don't want you. Let me take that guy because your attitude sucks. I don't think Black people criticize the others as much as we criticize ourselves, and that's what frustrates me. Because I'm the Negro that'll go to any restaurant, 5-star, 2-star, and sit there. If it's not good, bring it back. They get upset with me. You go on a date with me. You on for a ride because I'm gonna eat it. Well, you ate some of it. So what that mean? I don't like it. Bring it back. I must have had some crab cakes at Scott Seafood. I was just having some lunch with me and my daughter, and they brought it seafood crab cake, and that shit was nasty. I said, you know what? Take this back. Well, most niggas would have just been happy with the experience, and they weren't going to bash Scott Seafood. Why? Because niggas love seafood, and why are you going to bash Scott Seafood? Because of the ambiance and the idea of it. If we are going to be in Black business, and if we are going to take over and be in our Blackness, we can no longer fall in love with the idea. We must fall in love with the actual action. And the action is not bashing. And the one thing that really pissed me off is when others who had no qualifications to talk about Black soul food was chiming in because they felt comfortable enough because Negroes was doing the job. Well. I'm just saying though. And that's when it really becomes a touchy situation for me because it's like now here you are allowing guests to come in and give their 2 cents. You just go ahead and be with your non-salted ass food and sit on that corner and don't come into this conversation. But Black folk really got to start getting themselves together because if we are talking about takeover means everything. And I think that Black people have to understand when we're talking about revolution means everything. It doesn't mean that we just take over one area and leave the rest of the areas alone. No, we take over everything. We talk about restaurants. We talk about hospitals. We talk about grocery stores. We talk about all the needs and services of Black people. We have to be in the game for all of that shit.
Barry, you talking about Black economics, Black accountability, Black. I'm just like everybody else. Stuff for real.
Talk.
Most of us don't see it. Most of us just want the right to do what we think other people are doing, but without the work.
Yeah.
Because Asian people, I remember in Oakland when they did not have a Chinatown. This is in the early 90s. They would catch the BART over to Frisco to shop with their own. They did not go to the corner store. They did not go to Safeway. They would catch the BART all the way to Frisco to shop with their own.
Wow.
See, we don't get that part of the memo. We just want to be included. We just want to be integrationists. That's what people talk about that. I mean,
so instead of abolitionists, we're actually integrationists.
Yeah, we are. I mean, for the most part, we just want everybody to accept us, even though we don't accept ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is why I think other people don't accept us. Because we're the only people that let some non-us come in and tell us what the hell we not doing and is doing, or what is Black or what's not Black, or what's authentic.
Yeah.
We're the only group that do that. You can't go to no other group and do that. They shut your ass down and put your ass out. So, let's just be honest. Let's talk about that That's okay. Nobody wants to do the inner work to elevate. Right on.
Who said
Shit,
that?
conscious queen.
Okay.
Right on, sis. I agree.
So she's saying, so elaborate on that, Queen, as we break down, because I want her to elaborate on that. What do you think she's saying?
Because it's the inner work of loving yourself. I think there's levels to it, and I agree with everything she's saying. It's definitely inner work. But I'm just saying we just can't even love ourselves. Even in a legal business, there's a protocol.
Yeah.
We don't have a code of conduct.
Not at all.
That's just the honest to God truth. We don't love ourselves enough to be like, I really want to spend this money with someone who looks like me.
And here's the funny part about it.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah, no, let's very be honest. Let's be honest and clear.
Okay.
Nichols is talking about bad service. And we had our David Banner event. We're going to go there in a second. Yep. And I had a sister that told me that the one thing I did not like about the event, the one critique, she said, if we are in this loving environment, and we're talking about Black unity, we're talking about the message, I had so many sisters and a few brothers looking at me up and down, not greeting me, not saying hello, not acting as if we are here one building. And so for the Negroes that are sitting here up in arms and high sedity about Sandra Dees and the lack of their service, we can't even get on the page of being able to greet each other just on the what up. You don't got to do too much and say your acknowledgement that you see that person. We ain't saying sit there, have a conversation, ask what your day is looking like, and have all that. We don't need all that. It's just I walk by brothers and sisters, peace, queen, or I just be like salute or like see you because I want to recognize you. We can't do that in these places where we saying we try to be Black, or better yet, we want to chastise this restaurant and talk about how it needs to be better, but in a message for the Black community, when you don't have a majority of Black people showing up, regardless of who was hosting it, who was promoting it, who was putting it on, you go to a place where we're really not wanted. You go to a place where we're really not wanted, where we're segregated, and we can't really speak in our freedoms and liberties as we want to. You rather go support that than come to this where we're getting clear messaging on what we need to do. That David Banner video event, shouts out to Olivia Reed, with the Live with Nature, one of the co-promoters, Dana Maisha, of course, my sister Mama Rowe. Shouts out to it's Washington, Stockdale for all that they did with health professions and
team of Black women, man.
Oh man, team of Black women. That's another. We don't even go there. You know what I'm saying? All the security that came through. I had a team of Black women that sat there, realized the vision, held the vision down, and executed it. And trust me, it was a roller coaster ride. But we said the mission is better and bigger than all of us. Let's get it done. Because though some of us already know what the messaging is, some of us clearly need to hear it from another voice, even though a lot of the stuff that Banner was saying have come out of your mouth, have come out of my mouth, and have come out of other people's mouths before. And what's something that really resonated with me that you said? You said, Barry, it's not like these problems that we're dealing and talking about are new problems. These are the same 100-year-old problems. So when are we going to stop talking about the problem and do something about the problem? When you said that, I said, Lord have Jesus. Because why are we instituting and believing and thinking that our rationale has been kind of lost in these emotions as if the problems that are today weren't the problems of yesteryear and won't be the problems of tomorrow if we don't start strategizing? So when we talk about support and folks are like, well, how was the event? Well, why didn't you show up to the event?
Shut your mouth.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why didn't you show up to the event? Well, I was over here. And it's not knocking the pride. I get it. But that's not our event. It's not. You know what I'm saying? Our event is an event that is established and created by Black people, where everything about that was Black vendors, a Black staff. Pretty much the school was a Black facility in a black community that's getting gentrified.
Yep.
And I did that on purpose because I wanted people to drive through, say, what the hell is going on? Because I know a lot of people don't frequent over there. I know a lot of people just thought the gentrification was just going down over at Oak Park and upper on Broadway. No, it's going through the whole city.
Yep.
And then you go see the hood that will no longer be there in the next 4 to 5 years. It was all strategically done. So if you don't think a win is supporting black businesses that made a lot of money, getting a clear messaging, showing black talent, our youth, and other talented folks that was able to display their talents to the community, if that's not a win-win, and that's not a meeting that we need to be in, I get worried about the black person that continues to talk black, but don't really live black and be black and not truly in their blackness. They are more anti-black than the people that we are saying is anti-black. Because really, what some people went to is to an anti-black parade, not to a pride parade.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go there.
All right now, man.
Let's be real. Let's be honest. And it's just not knocking. I'm just saying. Because we talking black here. We gotta stop trying to segue our way into the fold. I'd rather black people have just did black pride and do it like that. Let them have that, because there's always been a simple issue when black people, and I said this to some of my folks the other day. You can have a red, black, and green flag, and the reason why Garvey created that Pan-African flag was to simply take out the content of all of the other flags that represented the different countries in Africa, the different islands that were the Caribbean, all that type of stuff. It's like, let's bring this all together. This is the flag that we generated from. Why? Because even though you're Haitian, you're Jamaican, Belize, whatever, Puerto Ricans, even though I know y'all run from us in the Cubans, they try to run from your roots of black. You are black. You come from black. Let me know black. No, we know black. Dark as hell. Dark ass Cuban. We know black. You know what I'm saying? So the reality is when we go there, we have to really be in our moments of understanding where we are and who we are. So he makes this flag. This flag represents unity. It represents power. It represents empowerment. It represents struggle. It represents resilience. It represents everything that will make you stand and be proud and feel pride in this flag. But it's chastised. It's looked as a political agenda. It's looked as if this flag is a flag of anarchists. It's a flag that is anti-everything. Though it is pro-black, it's almost a flag that the stupid folks that say, well, that's black people being racist. It's not embraced like the rainbow flag. And I sat there and I put one time the rainbow flag, and I'm going to do it again since folks are really paying attention right now. I'm going to put the rainbow flag and I'm going to put the Pan-African flag, and I'm going to ask them, why does one get more accreditation for what it stands for than the other? And that is the anti-blackness I'm talking about.
Because there's no black in the rainbow flag.
Oh.
There's no black in it. So, of course, it must be good. It must be for all people except for black people.
Wow.
Let's just be honest, Barry. We know this is white supremacy dressed up in sexuality.
Who
really gives a damn? I mean, honestly, we don't have no power to stop you from being whoever you think you want to be. I'm cool with that. But I also think, I asked a question on my, I did a little short video, and I said, is there enough room for black people to come to the table without their hyphenation? Can we come to the table just as black people, not, well, I'm black, but I'm from Jamaica, I'm black, I'm from Africa.
I'm black and I'm Irish, so I will say that mistake.
Yeah. Or I'm black and I'm gay. Do we have to have the hyphenation part, the hyphenated part of it?
Yes.
Because when police shoot you, they ain't an accident. We're just going to shoot your black side. We're going to leave the white side alone. We're going to just shoot your black side. We're going to leave the gay side out.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't do that shit. They don't even care. If you were, we're just going to shoot the poor part of your ancestry, not the rich part you are right now. It don't work like that. And I don't understand why it's such a hard, we'll say magically yes. One thing that David Banner did, I love when he asked, "Please be honest on how you feel about black people." And of course, Negroes who wear blackness as a fad. You know, like this is nice today. I feel like eating some Russian food, so I'm going to eat that today. I'm going to be Russian for an hour. You know, he on purpose he didn't go to them niggas.
Oh my God.
He on purpose he didn't go to them because we'll do it fancy. Yes. He said, no, be honest. Be honest. And look, black people sometimes they get on my goddamn nerves. I'm just gonna be honest. Sometimes we just do the craziest shit when I go to graduation. I watch our kids doing shit across the stage and they got past, they got all D's in detention half the time. And it's all kind of crazy shit. And the rest of the black staff is sitting there like, get this motherfucker out of here. Because Lord, this is work. But it's kind of like, damn, instead of us backing up and doing the work it takes to hold that kid accountable, nobody give a damn about your feelings. When the police pull his ass over, they ain't caring about his feelings. They don't even care about his life. So I feel like we gotta stop this damn coddling. You know what I mean? Somebody's like, oh, I don't know, he cussed a lot. So the fuck what? Sometimes you need to hear a cuss word. So you know this shit just got real. You know, don't be having somebody comfort you with a lie. If that person's not your friend, they gonna lie to you all day. Shit, tell me the truth. It may hurt my feelings, but this gonna get through. I'm gonna be sitting later like, yeah, that was right. I should have did something. Come on, man.
We are used to white people conditioning us to be who we are, what we are, and what we're supposed to be. That's just what it is.
Wait a minute now.
You know what I'm saying? We have really gone there, and the reality that we live in, that sometimes the conversation is too tough for black people to have. More black people get uncomfortable when I walk into the room than white people do. Because white people feel, okay, this nigga's going to say some shit that I'm not going to like and I'm not supposed to like. And black people are like, brother, can you please stay on our status quo? And I'm not a status quo ass Negro. I told Negroes the other day. I hate corporate white shit and I hate corporate Negro shit. Because Negroes do a lot of corporate Negro shit. And I told one of my brothers the other day that I'm the wild card in this whole thing. I'll never ever be the actual guy that they place all the responsibility to because I don't really play to the rules by black people. Because what black organizations love to do is they like to downgrade the blackness in different areas. It's powerful to be black when everyone needs to hear the struggle of black, right? But when we're at the table, sometimes they want to start saying, okay, we don't have to be as black as we need to be because now we're at the table. Let's now just kind of be strategic. And it's almost like, so you're basically telling me I need to be more white.
Yeah. You're right, Barry, but I feel like that's why if you don't build your own structure, you kind of deserve what the fuck you get. Because I think you got to stop being so goddamn lazy. This place was not designed to take care of you. When they were doing the American dream, they was doing it on our backs as they continue to do. So quit acting like you're a patriot. Quit acting like America was made for you. You know, they don't even see you as a human being. There is no way in hell. And I feel a Colin Muhammad moment coming on. There's no way in hell that you're gonna be a slave one day and people see you as 2/5 of a human being and worse than a dog or a cat, and the next day they see you as an equal. Not possible. Never possible. But in your mind, you believe that shit because you don't want to do the work to get free. The David Banner thing, I think, was absolutely beautiful. Look here, you have vendors. You had conscious music. You had young people, your children, they're running around happy as can be. Some of us don't know the protocol, right? Young people working, selling their products, which was beautiful. They have information there about going to school. I mean, they didn't just have stuff to sell, they had information. You know what I mean?
You had black culture.
Yeah, you have black culture.
You had black culture being represented.
Yeah. The thing that we got to work on is when we in black spaces, we got to respect the goddamn black space. Because I think we struggle. I think we sometimes be like our oppressor. And I say be like just like I meant it. We be like it. They're like, yeah, we like you to sing and dance, nigga, but we don't want to hear you respect your elders or your ancestors. We don't want to hear about the historical shit. We just want to talk about being gods. After this is Lord Barry, this is my... Look, we gotta learn to listen when people are talking.
Hey, I love how somebody goes down.
Oh well, my ancestors. It's a wrap for me when it comes to my ancestors. I'm like,
Negroes got shook with the libations. I think that was the scariest libation Negroes ever. I think you was pumping Negroes on that libation. I love it. That was beautiful, bro.
But I just feel like, Barry, we gotta have more respect for who we are in our culture.
Yes.
Because I think we really struggle with that as a people. We struggle with that.
Yes.
We struggle with that. So I thought the message was great. It was funny. Somebody called me and asked me about where was I at on why did I go to Pride and Stilettos?
Real quick. And shouts out to anyone that was at Pride, because I think Dr. Flo, I know she had a double.
Yeah. Oh, Dr. Flo was good.
That's
I don't think I would hope that people know who we're talking about. So if it stings you, it may be some shit you want to check out.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, because if you go to both things, but show up and support.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree. But I feel like I'm with you, Barry. I feel like that's not my thing. Pride is not my thing. I'm black first. I'm black all day long. That's like when white women try to tell me something about, it's women. I'm like, girl, I'm black first. When I'm with you, I'm black first. Like, because you make me feel like I'm black first.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I'm black first. I don't know what else to tell you. Everything else becomes a hibernated. It's just a hyphenation. Sorry, it comes like that. But I also think we got to quit with the set tripping. You cannot fight your enemy and your own self too. You'll never win. Because when you have a problem with your sister or brother, you have a problem with your damn self.
Man.
Because he or she don't even have no goddamn power. They can't control where you live. They can't control the job you get. They can't control you getting a bank loan. They can't control you getting a car. They can't control you walking down a goddamn street and not being profiled. We have no control over shit like that. Don't be mad at me because I'm wearing lime green pants and you think I should be wearing navy blue. That's cool. That's dumb. But the message I thought was right on point. It is a message you hear saying, but with black folks, you got to drive a message home. They're going to have to hear that shit 100 more times. It made me think of the days when I would hear Colin Muhammad come to speak and he would have fire and you'd be like, shit, that keep you on point. But what I also recognized too, Barry, when I thought about that time, even in that same time period, the music was different. So I just wasn't getting this powerful message from a powerful black man. I was listening to music that was backing that up. So I was listening to Fight the Power and Public Enemy and Poor Righteous Teachers and Gang Starr. I was getting all of these messages about being up and being mobile. Listening to the brand Nubians, Paris, right. So I was listening to all of that. You know what I mean? So I wasn't listening to that and then going to shake your booty rump and then smack a hoe. Like the two of those things don't go together. You know what I mean? I just would never want to do that after listening to such a powerful thing or listening to music who directed me in that way. Yeah. And that's why I think we kind of struggle with. We got to really, I'm just going to be honest. I think there's something wrong with Negroes when we're still trying to push niggas. Sit the hell down. What are you doing, idiot? Did you hear what the man just said? Did you hear what he just said? We always like, well, ancient times. Nigga, you ain't living in ancient times. You living in it right now. Yeah. Don't nobody care what we thought that meant back in the 20th, 7th century or whatever.
Nobody cares.
I mean,
nobody cares.
Well, give me a break. And not to mention your ass can't build a pyramid in your backyard out of sticks and branches. I can't even bear it.
Listen.
Oh God.
They can't even make fire with rocks nowadays. And that's the same thing with me. When we talk about Sandra Dees, not to just on that. It's like Negroes is talking about quality food and can't even boil water. You know what I'm saying? Or if they know how to boil water, they're gonna tell me how to boil water 10 ways. Right? It's like, let's where we're at is where we're at. Let's start from building out of that. That's all I'm saying. Right? Let's start us building out from where we're at. Queen is saying the brainwashing. Yes, the brainwashing is real. Because how do I dupe you Negroes? How do I dupe you Negroes to get a message that you can get from me for free? And then you want to spend money to go see it with David Banner. But if I have to do that, then I'm going to do that.
Right on.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't want to listen to me. Okay, there you are, whatever. But you want to hear the David say? Perfect. I'm going to bring them in. But we have to, and the reason why I like doing these different events without a big organization side on my side, I definitely will work out and get sponsorship, is because I feel niggas like to water down shit too much. And I'm telling you,
have to worry about what their constituents gonna think about what you had to say, man.
The organizations that have been black, the more older ones, because there's some newer ones that we still,
verdict is out.
We're still waiting. But trust me, I'm in a few spaces. I'll be the first to be able to, because my name's on the line.
Right on.
They want to be culturally appropriate, but then they're really not culture, because really they don't go where the culture is. They can talk about the culture, but they don't really go where the culture is. And I've always laughed at Negroes who are talking about underserved inner city spots, but yeah, they may have lived there, but you don't live there now. And you just as bad as Billy White compared to what you want to do, because you got the same idea as Billy White. It's just coming from a black perspective. So how do we move from that? The way we move from that is we got to keep it all the way funky and keep it all the way black. And that's the reason why when we talked about the national anthem and you rip niggas and you asshole, and then with a young girl, I was getting high five. I don't leave me hanging. I was getting
I didn't see because I laughed at you.
I know. I was like, girl, I know people was like
black fist there. People it was scared.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm getting to. I wish you had a picture of that. And then our beautiful songstress, Zariah.
Oh yeah.
Was singing the Black National Anthem. And we rarely, and I feel like this is what we have to do in every black event. Right. It has to be libations, Black National Anthem.
And we did ask the oldest person in the room for permission to start. It was in their 70s. But we really did this. We did cultural protocol at that, for real. Like, because most of us, we just think culture means get some dookie braids and box braids. We don't change the name now. Yeah. It's box braids. And then just go from there. You know what I'm saying?
And we know that's not it. So when we had folks raising up their fists, and as you said, there were some people that were this guy. You had people that literally you had people that literally was scared to raise up their fists. That spoke volumes to me about what and how we really truly look at our blackness, even in a safe space that's all black. It was crazy to me. It's like, nigga, put your fist up high. What you scared that your employer's gonna see this picture? You afraid that someone will lie, that they're gonna see you too black? A fist does not mean violence. A fist means power, and that power is empowering for black people. So when I raise my fist, it's not only a fist of empowerment, but it's a fist of solidarity.
Right on.
Like, that's what it is. That's what it means. Like, it's just not gonna brutalize. If black people were ready to brutalize white folks, we'd have been done did that. Yeah, so for the idea of us thinking that black people are gonna have this eye-opening moment to have this genocide against white folks, I think that's blasphemy, and it's almost like the biggest joke that you can kind of say to someone, because if we were going to take out white folks, we'd have already did that. And I don't even believe that we are even that bad at all of the atrocities that's happened historically at white folk. For you even to be that angry. Because when you see all of this racist shit going on, and all this police brutality, another final thing that David Banner said, like, niggas ain't really ready to die. And we've been saying that. Yeah, and we ain't ready to put your life on the line like that. And the cold part about it, David Banner was pretty much saying, I ain't either.
Yeah, right, real talk.
He really didn't say that. Yeah. But the reality is until we put our life on the line, and until they know that we really to sacrifice and die for our true freedom and liberation, we're never going to move the way we feel we're going to move, waiting for them to move the needle for us. We have to do it for ourselves.
Well, why would they want to empower us to empower ourselves? Don't y'all think about that? Don't you often wonder why we have more degrees damn near than any other group besides probably the white folks themselves, and we own that shit? Y'all ever think about that? That we rent and we pay, Lord, in Sacramento, you're paying ridiculous rent. But you can't take over a neighborhood.
You're paying ridiculous rent with no significant representation of yourself. Don't tell me about the black communities when we don't have it.
Barry,
don't tell me about where the black celebrations where we don't have enough. Now it's getting better, but I don't really think that we have to have 4 Juneteenth celebrations in one day. We're not equipped for that yet.
We really not.
Let's consolidate it. So at least having 2, so multiple people can get to different places. Because we see, like I said, Negroes had the choice. Message to the black community, pride.
Right now.
Negroes was conflicted. It would have never been a conflict with me. Message to the black community.
Right now.
But the reality is we feel safer in other spaces that don't look all like us. And that becomes the biggest issue. That becomes an issue of, can black people really actually survive doing business with just black people?
Well, Barry, that's a serious one. And I'm gonna just say this. I think, some of us have. It depends on what kind of business you're in. If you're a drug dealer, you can survive off of selling crack to black people.
Wow.
That is possible. I know that was it, because that's a business, and that's a black-owned business, and it's a business that people support. Because hell, we know that to be true. Because if you were selling weed, you were surviving until they figured out that, wait, we want that money too. So let's legalize it and make it so that you niggas who have been an underground economy for it not reap any of the benefits of it being legit.
Yes.
So we know that you can survive off of black folks supporting you.
Yes, yes.
I think the bigger question is, can you survive with white people supporting you and you still supporting your own people? That to me is a bigger question.
Okay.
Because I think to some degree, if you love black folks, you're going to always figure out how to help us in some kind of way. That's kind of how we're wired. But do you switch over to white people and still remain true to making sure you make some space for black folks? Case in point, in some of the places where it's being gentrified, in some of the houses where they have black people only, believe it or not, on some of these slums, when they redid it, they didn't want no low-income black folks in there because they were trying to get the money from white people.
Oh, so Negroes is not close with you, but Negroes is following the white people protocol
and not leaving any room for other people to come up,
because they're wearing black capitalists at their best. Black capitalism is real.
So that's all I'm saying. Sometimes we feel like, I can see if, like, I have some friends who have birth centers and they do births with white people, but when it comes to black people needing to have a home birth, like really good birth work, they make sure it's either the sliding scale, or they'll just let them do it because that's they plan for that. They charge other people who can afford it more, so it balances out for people who has to pay less. But that's called commitment to your own people. That's called commitment to self. We don't do commitment to self. We feel like, I watched the Wu-Tang Clan documentary. I want to know how y'all think of Mics and Men. And I felt like, I like RZA. I think he's a cool dude. But I also think he sold some of the Wu-Tang Clan shit to this Arab dude who then turned around and picked up and sold one Wu-Tang album for $2 million. And tricked the other members to spitting on it. But they didn't know that's what he was going to do with the album. And then he called it a Wu-Tang Clan album. But he'd have never gotten the door if RZA hadn't brought him in the door. Just see the documentary. I think we do that a lot. Even in our genres, we bring other people in and then we sell our shit to them very cheaply and they take it and make $1 million. There's one song I did listen to, the Guy Box. That was my first time buying it. Great stuff on there. But he has a song called Elvis.
Okay.
And in Elvis, he talks about, he basically saying Macklemore, Adele, Robin Thicke, they want R&B long as it looks like that. You know what I mean? He talks about like Michael Jackson when he turned black, then they killed his ass and then dropped his album. Like, you gotta listen to some of these messages. And I'm like, hey, was it true?
But I mean, when you see that and say, is it true? Let's look at the music. We don't even have control of the music that we created, right? I mean, they did it with rock and roll, and then they turned around and did it again with what?
rap or hip hop or whatever we want to call it. Shit hop. I
was called shit hop.
I feel like shit hop. I'm sorry. Y'all get mad at y'all you want.
I'm just saying.
Shit change. Shit sound like boo boo.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's how they like it.
Not all of it, some of it, y'all.
And that's what nibbles get. Nibbles get all sensitive. We're not talking about you, but then you're like, what you're talking about? That's great hip hop. Well, we know that.
Yeah.
But
y'all don't support it.
We don't support it enough, and we don't control it enough, if control at all. But again, with that question, do we need white people to survive? I'm just saying.
I was going like this.
Just being honest.
Part of me wanted to say yes, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because there are some white people who get it and will let you do whatever you got to do, for real.
Yeah.
Some black people, they want to criticize you all day long and they contribute shit. They'll be telling you this is what you should do with your business. You should be doing this.
And they don't have a business, never had a business before. Okay.
Can't employ you, don't buy shit from you, don't support
you.
Working
regular 9 to 5.
Right, yeah.
Overtime.
Asking the white man, could you please let me off so I can go to my kid's game and then you go to a fucking concert?
Go to my kid's graduation.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say yes, because I think that's the duality of being black in America and how.
You really think that black people can survive off the support of black people?
I think some of us have, and some of us do, but I think they survive off of the dysfunction of black people. So you can't have no business surviving off of the beauty and the wonderful and the love. It has to be a dysfunction,
so black people,
like reality TV show.
Okay, so you say black people?
Yes.
Okay, go break it down.
Yeah, I think that we can survive. If I'm gonna sell to your detriment, because we support shit that's against us. Hair weave, that whole product, perms, and all. If you sold some shit like that, you would do great with black folks, even though the shit give you all kind of stuff in your brain and all kind of stuff. You know, if you want to sell us chaos, the sister who releases all of these reality shows, that is a black woman making money, making a killing. I mean, an example. Yeah, something like that. The sister who How to Get Away with Murder. And no, that's another black woman. She has 3 hit shows at the same time.
All black cats.
Yeah. So Tyler Perry, we know, like, hey, love him, hate him, leave him.
But I mean, the messages.
That's what I'm saying. But it's a part of dysfunction. He makes money off of the dysfunction, the screwed upness, the drama in our lives, the fucked up. That's how he makes money. We do not come to things that's like, be healthy, eat lettuce, treat your neighbor nice, speak to your friends. Let's really build that pyramid in the backyard so we can say we really forgive it.
With sticks
and mud. But that's not gonna sell because black people think that shit is corny. And then their kids think it's corny. But then when they see white people, not being afraid to travel around the world with a backpack, they like, we can do that. You ain't gonna never do it because it ain't in you. You want to be drama. You want to go to every city and get turned up and be fucked up and don't learn shit and wasted the whole whatever time you had there. How many of y'all travel to city for business to figure out how to build with other black people across the country? We got all this social media. Do you use it to watch fights all day? Do you watch it? Do you use it at work to sit and think, girl, I gotta see what happened on Love and Hip Hop? Girl, I got that shit. I watch that on my break. Yeah. How many people do that? How many of y'all got shit going on with your kids and you don't even know what to do about it because it's going to interfere with you doing the shit you want to do? But you brought them here.
Yeah. Man, listen.
Don't
every point you made is I commend it and it's correct. But I honestly don't believe we can survive without white people and other folks in the realm of just our economics.
Can they survive without us?
They're trying to find out if they can because they replaced us with the Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? But they still have not been able to find the Russian, German, Michael Jordan yet, LeBron James yet. You know what I'm saying? You still haven't found the Asian rap sensation like 50 Cent. You know what I'm talking about? Or Mexican rap sensation. They still haven't found that. So as long as a Negro can entertain and dunk and throw a football, they'll be okay. Because those are like the main ingredients when you talk about black liberation for some white folks are like Lyra Liberation is your black buddy just made an NBA basketball team. Your black buddy just sat there and got an Oscar. So in that sense of liberating black people, it's a few of you Negroes can make it, so you should feel liberated because this system is really working. The system is working, the system of the American dream. The system's working, the equality. But the reality is what Negroes run from is that you're being pimped, you're being used. And the perfect example of that is Kevin Durant.
Oh, okay. Break down Kevin Durant.
The brother got injured in the Houston series a month back. And they played it off and said it was a calf injury. Most of us who watched the game felt it was an Achilles injury. He ends up coming back to play in a critical game 5 in the finals because he got injured in the second round of the playoffs. And came back game 5 with the championship Warriors down 3-1 playing in Toronto. Toronto the other day had the opportunity to close out. They had been looking dominant. KD has not played. And there were skeptics speaking on the fact that we don't believe that he's ready. But then there was other critics that were saying, well, he's ready. He's just not supporting his team. He's thinking about himself. He's being selfish because Kevin Durant, again, can opt out and be a free agent where he can get big time money, right? Mm-hmm. So KD has been a guy, just to give a quick background, has been a guy that's always tried to fit in. The fact that he went to the Warriors from Oklahoma Thunder was kind of looked on and frowned upon. Like, you go to the same team that beat y'all and then create the super team, you can't do it by yourself, right? So the idea of him being with this team was like unfair and saying like, well, you could have went on your own, so you had to come here. Now the norm, the narrative has changed a lot. Now they're saying, well,
dominant as hell.
Yeah, the Warriors need KD more than KD maybe needs them. But the same speculation of all these other Warriors injured and KD not playing and KD being selfish and he's only worried about himself. It came to pass when KD came to play. Started off from watching this game, he hit 2 3-pointers. He looked marvelous. Next thing you know, in the second quarter, he got injured again. And this time, it was a definite Achilles. But the Achilles was always an injury. They tried to tell us it was a calf. So he now injured his Achilles. His Achilles injury, if it's torn, I'm not too sure if it's Achilles torn. If it's torn, he'll probably have to sit out the whole next year, which was his contract year, where he could have re-signed for a max deal with the Warriors or another team. I'm saying that because the slave owners created that idea to, one, make it seem that his injury
wasn't that bad.
And psychologically, I think they wanted to play that out for an edge for the Raptors to never get too comfortable to be like, oh, well, they don't have KD. This is what we have to do. So they could always be in a matchup. Well, we don't know if he's going to come back this game. We don't know if he's going to come back that game. What also it did, it put the pressure on KD, who's been a guy that's always tried to fit in, to want to fit in and want to be, because you're an athlete anyway, an alpha male, you want to be a part of your squad regardless. But now you're getting Johnny come lately telling you A, B, and C that you're basically hiding behind the glass. And what the problem has been is with the slave owners of the slaves, they've always overworked and overran these athletes. The NBA is the only sport that these athletes have been able to sit there and say, no, I'm not having it. But in the NFL, they'll run them niggas down raggedy and then sell you off to the next highest bidder or just cut your black ass. So KD injures himself. He's done. There's a possibility that the Warriors could come back because they ended up winning the game 5. But what it speaks is to the higher volume of, as much as we sit there and say we want to have our own, and as much as we sit there and say that black people support black people, where were the black people that really understood Kevin and really understood his worth to sit there and say, I don't give a shit what's going on, what you're hearing, sit your black ass down, because your injury is a lot worse than they're telling you, and you know it. It's not about you going out there proving anything. It's about you being healthy, because what they do, the slave owners, they treat that Negro like cattle. And so now the simple fact that this brother is injured, it speaks to the volume of how we as Black people, we know ourselves better than these folks know us. So when we're saying that we're injured, or we're saying that we're not feeling good, we should have to be able to have the right to say, okay, I'm going to step out, where it's not going to be this whole big thing where folks are going to talk about how much heart he has, if he's really into to this game or to this finals. His head is in the free agency. No, Negro, it's into making sure that I'm healthy. So we have to, if we're talking about a united front, if we don't start controlling more of these organized sports, that this kind of thing that happened to KD, and I believe that this is significantly going to change the pattern, because some athletes, LeBron James got injured earlier this year, and folks were like, when's he coming back? When's he coming back? That brother took about 4 weeks, and at 4 weeks to 6 weeks, I think he came back, they were pretty much out the playoffs, right? You had the Kawhi Leonard kid who's playing right now. He sat out a whole year, and now he is on the road to be the Finals MVP, and he led his team to a championship Finals that they've never been there before. So he understood his body. He didn't listen to the white doctors that the team had. He listened to his own private doctor that said, "Hey, bro, ain't a good look." So we have to be able to preserve life, and until we start really creating our own and really taking control of at least the things that we're not the majority in ownership, but we take it over in all those other principalities like we do with NBA, to where they can't blindside you like they did with Kevin Durant. We're always going to be running this lap and running this race against what white people want, what Black people should have, and not having control and not having power is a detriment to our build. We have to be able to have power and control.
Wow. You explained that great, Barry. I don't even think people talk about, even when you watch some of the sports shows, they don't talk like that. Because them niggas was on there to have a job.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to really talk about the health of the person.
No.
You know,
some brothers like Chris Carter, he kept it 100. Okay. He was like, don't play. He shouldn't play. Folks got to stop talking to him about playing or making him feel like he's doing the franchise a disservice, right? You done gave them 2 championships. What else you got to prove? Like, stop allowing folks to be in your head. But the cold part about it, for the first time after his injury, and it's sort of like with the Nipsey Hussle thing, now you're celebrating him because he's dead. The first time they ever felt about KD really being a part of the team is when they had to lift him up and carry him off the floor to the back when he got injured. Like, that's when everyone's like, well, he's really a warrior. Before it was like KD, the hired gun. Before it was players that would say, well, we won without him, we can win again. Now they're like, no, we need the Negro. And that's just how we do. As Black people, we cannot survive if we don't protect ourselves. And we, I think, fall in love with characters. Like I said to you before, I had to pay someone and have you pay to hear the message instead of y'all hearing the message clearly from people that right here that you can get it for free. So that sensationalism is for, like you said, some Black people can survive off Black people. Yeah. Others can't. Like, let's be very honest about that. You and I, if we went on a crusade and did some type of tour about Blackisms and things of that nature, how much support will we get? When you are doing your with your event that you're gonna have? The Quality Life Road Trip? Yes, the Quality Life Road Trip. How hard is it to get Black people to donate? Oh. Yeah. And I've been honored to be a person that's been able to donate a little, but you and I, that's how we do. It's like, okay, you got something, bro. Okay, you got something, sis. We're gonna go that. But I don't have enough money to say, yo, here, sis. 10 racks. Now, if we were ministers, if we gonna be Christian ministers, or even Muslim ministers, and we are selling hope and Jesus and theories and making you feel good, we will survive. Because Black ministers have always survived in the Black community.
which I don't know if there's a link there. No disrespect to anybody that's a minister, but I don't know if there's a link there between poverty, black folks not having shit, and having a church in every corner. I don't know. I just don't know.
But here's my thing with that.
No disrespect.
I don't know. It's not disrespect. It's just being honest. But I keep on feeling that black people don't want to look at those isms that continue to hold us to our feet and not lift us off the ground. And that is bad black leadership. That is the fact that we continue to hope and pray that Jesus comes through the sky and sits down and puts a curse on all the white folks that have been privileged to live off the backs of our ancestors. That's just not going to happen. That's never going to be the truth. And it's sad that we can build up black churches, but we are afraid to build up black businesses, not knowing that the black churches that you build are what? Black businesses.
Right on.
But black businesses that don't necessarily give back to black people unless you are part of their congregation. And if we cannot move into a light of understanding, you cannot pray and pay your way into any kind of heaven. Right? We are going to be, again, in the same kind of conversation. And to be honest with you, I'm tired of the same conversation because it goes nowhere. Because until Negroes start seeing that we have to do what we need to do to make amends and make it make sense, we're going to continue to be in this pothole, right? Just trying to get ourselves out of it. And while we're trying to get ourselves out of it, kicking, elbow, and kneeing those that are trying to come up on the pothole as well.
That's real talk. That's real talk. Barry, who are we missing on here? Talk about everything on here. What does black unity look like?
Black unity looks like this.
Wrap up. Okay.
It looks like this. It looks like what David Banner was, minus folks being comfortable with saying hello to each other and greeting each other in a way. And I used to did some fun things for folks to kind of have to engage and things of that nature. But I mean, black unity looks like sisters standing up with a brother and holding me down. But we needing more brothers to be able to be okay. And stop hating on the person that's creating the thing that is going to create the unity. And that's what we have to do. Stop the fucking hate, man.
Stop the hate.
Stop the hate. Stop the hate. Stop the hate. It's just like, you know what I mean? Because I know, this is two things I know Negroes do. Negroes will not eat my food, even though everybody will talk about it. They will have a lot of oxtails. They will not eat my oxtails, won't eat my jerk chicken. Why? Because I make it. They don't fuck with me. So they'll be like, I ain't fuck with that shit. And they're going to run around all day long starving. Don't eat at McDonald's. But they ain't going to eat at my shit. Where if a nigga made some good food, whether I like them or not, I'm going to go ahead and get them. I might end up starting liking the motherfucker by just having a conversation about, well, I can't fuck with you on this shit, but I can fuck with you on the food shit. People didn't actually go to our event because of whatever kind of thing that they felt the message was going to be. And because of the people surrounding around it. And really was hoping that folks was going to say, oh, that was the worst shit ever.
No, it was absolutely beautiful. But I always say, if you ain't about that life, then this is not where you need to be.
Exactly.
I'm going to be honest. If you are not about that life, this is not for you. You know, this is for some real builders. This is for some real black people, some real African descent. This is real. Yeah. And if you ain't about that life, just don't be fronting. Yeah. Ain't no future in it.
Not at all. And I think that once we learn that our unity does not always have to be us agreeing with each other.
I agree.
Our unity is about us having tough conversations. It's us about building in some ways that might not be comfortable for you, but might be comfortable for me, or being different in the way we do, but the agenda is still the same. Because there's a lot of Negroes that are creating their idea of build, but then they're nowhere around when we're actually building.
Right on.
I'm like, well, Negro, okay, I ain't seen you here. I ain't seen you here. I ain't seen you here. So are you building on some kind of eternal island? Maybe the niggas got the new Noah's Ark that they building on, right? So after a while, you niggas just become fraud. And then they will always say this, well, just because you don't see me around, don't know me that I'm Negro. Nah, brother. You either a hater, you're lazy, you rather just be in this cave and then come out with this master plan like, yo, got it. Here's what we got to do. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Instead of making your mistakes, building with your people, being in hard, tough conversations, being in uncomfortable positions, and being with your people. And I think that's what people respect about you, They respect about me, and they respect about the event. We were with the people. It was about the people. It wasn't about us. It wasn't about, oh yeah, man, this is the bariatric show. No, like I said, shout out with Live with Nature. I mean, the Queen stepped in. Shouts out to you, Mama Ro, Dana. Y'all stepped in. Shouts out to my queens at Health Profession. Stepped in.
Right.
Shouts out to my baby mama and my daughter. Stepped in.
Right on.
You get what I'm saying? And stepped
Right
in places that other people will refuse to step in, but because we all understood the mission and we understand that unity is not going to always be friendly handshakes and hugs and a love fest. Unity is going to be a little bit dirty and rugged and rigid at times. But what we're all trying to fight for, instead of trying to overtake someone's event or do a better event or duplicate an event, because you see that nigga, you're lurking on Facebook like, I hope that shit gets cracked. And I'm gonna tell niggas like this. This is a message. This is not a message from Mama Rose. It's a message from me, because I know the haters are gonna listen.
It never happens like that, though.
Listen, y'all. I'm a Teflon Don out here, man. Come join the committee. Come join the movement. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to screw myself up on certain shit that I know you niggas think I'm going to do. It's not going to work. I'm here for my people. Let's build. Let's build together. But let's stop hating on the fact that there's a certain person that's building that you just don't like because the spotlight on certain things are on me. There's a spotlight on all of us at certain degrees, but sometimes we just have to play our role when it's made. And the one thing you got to understand about me, I put my motherfucking money where my mouth is. That's real shit. I put my motherfucking money. I don't wait. Even if we don't have sponsorship, I'm going for it. I don't wait for niggas to come up with some great corporate idea and then corporatize it. Some of that shit, when we do corporate black shit, I'll be so irritated. I'll be like, oh, here we go. Niggas want. I'm not into that shit. I'm about to energy.
And it takes this thing out your stuff.
And we're into real. So let's have real people do real things. And like, come join us, man. Because it's better when it's all of us winning. But don't be over there so frustrated and so angry that I did something or you did something and you know you want to be a part of it. But because of those people that are there and you just don't want to have saving grace and just be a blessing and say, I honor what you did. I don't have to fuck with you, but I've honored what you did because this is a win. This is what happened and what continues to happen here in Black Sacramento is a win for not me, not you as individuals. These are wins for all of us. All of us. So I'd like to say in ending, September 14th, we're going to have the Black Food Fest, first annual Black Food Fest.
Right on.
Here at Florence Square.
September
14th from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Hosted by Black Blueprints as well as the Black Friday Coalition. So we're going to do that Black Food Fest. We're just going to go and just keep on attacking it. And if people like the Sacramento Observer that's supposed to be Black News that didn't show up again to the event. But shouts out to Regina Wilson at 97.5 for holding us down, for definitely holding us down. Shouts out to them. And Regina Wilson came into the clutch. My salute, my love to my queen. But when we keep on having these big events, I'm not going to beg you niggas to come over here and do what you need to do. Y'all know what you need to do. Show up, take your little pictures and put it in your little paper. And even though a lot of people don't see it, there's going to be enough people that see it.
It goes on record.
You know what I'm saying? It goes on record. Yep. We have the record of this because so many things that we've done, they're not indicated in the record books because motherfuckers don't follow. And I'm not here to chase anybody. So let's be more diligent and more.
Or you have to make your own record, Mary.
Girl,
I'm sorry.
Do we have to
Please
do
forgive
our own
Yes. I think the Black newspapers that we have, no disrespect, but I just think competition is always good. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like, when you think about all those Black hip hop, you think about all those Black hip hop magazines that came out, and that's because the traditional Black news wasn't covering hip hop like that.
Yes.
So that's how you got like XL and all of that stuff. That was us, like we create our own shit. And sometimes that helps people to get on their game. No disrespect. Sometimes you just got it don't be, I don't think it'd be a form of hate. It's just like you're not on their radar because maybe you ain't in their.
I'm not with the bourgeois.
Yeah.
I'm not with the Black capitalists. I'm just saying, I'm not
the hyphenated part of who we are. Sometimes you don't belong to the hyphenated part of who they are. Okay. What you said in this case is bougie. But I feel like, hell, create your own. Yeah. You get more followers and subscribers, do it online. Yeah. That's something I think we got to have an engine for that.
You're right.
We can document our own shit.
Yeah, we have to, and that's why we're doing our own Black podcast. So, continue to support. We're switching up days, right?
Yes.
On Thursday?
Thursday.
Okay, so we're on Thursdays. You won't hear
Yeah, you're not gonna hear all of this on Thursday. I don't know.
Same time,
Same
back channel.
place.
Remember, continue to support. Thank you for everybody that supported the David Banner event. That was lovely. Like I said again, the first annual Black Food Fest, a taste of culture. It's going to be dope art, music performances. I need to talk to you about artists, see if we can get a certain kind of artist here. What you think? So September 14th, we're going to have it happen here in Floyd Square. So again, Thursday, our show, support, pass on the good word, and thank y'all for tuning in.
Peace, fam.
Peace. I'm sending.
Wait, did you say Tuesday or Thursday? I mean, the day you want to do Tuesday?
I said Thursday.
Was there an option for Tuesday, or was it
I think it was.
I think we should do
Tuesday. Okay.
Because when we do Tuesdays, Barry, there ain't shit going on over there. It's quiet as shit up here.
I said this damn attachment, and nobody said they could get the damn attachment.
Okay, let me shut this down. What the hell am I doing? I mean, you know, loud asses. Okay, let me get over here.
How much you think Guapole would cost? She's still like 2,500.
Probably not.
You think she's 1,500?
I don't know. I'm not really into Guapole, so I don't know what she really does. You know what I'm saying? Why does they let me in this?
There's something going on my phone.
See something.